In 1954, Ishido Honda directed a monster film with the title of Gojira. Despite featuring a giant, dinosaur-like monster, he isn't the main focus of the plot. We spend most of our time with the characters affected by his damage, while the monster we now call Godzilla is an allegory for nuclear devastation. This creature represents the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and how its rampage causes inhumane suffering for the Japanese people. The film is somber and dark, featuring a character based on Robert J. Oppenheimer, creator of the hydrogen bomb. Dr. Serizawa builds a weapon powerful enough to destroy oxygen, but can't handle the guilt that comes with creating such a device. The climax sees him clutching onto it while the ocean is drained of oxygen, killing Godzilla and taking his own life to make sure we never see a weapon like that again. That's some heavy shit, right? You know what the other movies have? What the hell happened? I don't think I've ever seen a franchise shift gears so quickly. Even the original got dumbed down in America. The dub cut out 90% of the dialogue about nukes, and scenes were added with an American actor named Raymond Burr. His presence is insulting to the original cast, like the distributors thought the Japanese characters weren't human enough. But when Toho got rid of the subtext and started making straight-up kaiju flicks, that's when the series earned its reputation. They're a far different species from the original masterpiece, but there's fun to be had with almost every Godzilla movie. After a transitionary sequel, Godzilla squared off against King Kong. Then two of the series' best came out back-to-back, Mothra vs. Godzilla and Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Then a lesser trio of sequels hit the scene, but in 1968, they quit fucking around. Destroy All Monsters is what fans would call the Infinity War of the Godzilla franchise. Characters like Rodan and Mothra debuted on their own, and then crossed over with Godzilla because of his popularity. But Destroy All Monsters combined every major Toho monster at the time. They wanted to go out strong with the last Godzilla film. Yeah, the last Godzilla film. There are plenty of movie franchises that come back after the planned finale, but not 24 fucking times. Only a year after Destroy All Monsters, they made a shitty family movie called All Monsters Attack. Godzilla never even shows up diegetically. It's about a boy who just happens to like Godzilla, and so he dreams about hanging out with his fat-ass son. And then he gets kidnapped! These early entries were known for silliness, but this was such a low point it almost killed the franchise. In order to give the series new life, they wanted to make something that appealed to children and adults. The result is something that may not work for either, and is by far the weirdest Godzilla movie ever made. In Japan, it's known as Godzilla vs. Ghidorah. In the United States, Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster. When the Earth's pollution reaches catastrophic levels, the ocean sludge comes to life in the form of Ghidorah the Smog Monster. So poor Godzilla's gotta stop the worst environmental crisis since the Hurricane Katrina broadcast.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
A villainous doo-doo cloud flying over Japan is trippy enough, but things only get crazier. There's animation, musical numbers, fucked up hallucinations, and the funniest thing I've ever seen from the King of the Monsters. So relax, crack open a beer, but make sure to recycle it or I'll face fuck you till the cows come home. We start off by seeing a disgusting ocean, and our monster rears its ugly head right off the bat.
Animal.
What the fuck? I knew there was gonna be musical numbers, but not during the opening credits. I never would have thought to put an upbeat tune over dead fish and rotting garbage. The first person we meet is this little fella named Ken, as he puts his Godzilla figures down the slide. Apparently a time wizard gave him a doll of Slippy the Frog, too. His father is a scientist, and a news report on Ghidorah inspires him to go scuba diving. This whole scene kind of freaks me out. The soundtrack gets ominous and there's this shot of a drowned bird. This movie's in a tonal purgatory. Oh shit! Ken tries to cut through liquid while his dad gets attacked. There's a moment where Ken thinks he's dead, but then he's back a minute later with a little bit of Harvey Dent syndrome. It turns into a cartoon immediately after. What am I looking at? Is that Muzzy drinking lean? It's been only 12 minutes and I forget what I'm watching. I've always loved the shot of Godzilla in front of the sunrise. It's one of the best intros besides Terror of Mechagodzilla. The primeval champion does not approve of water pollution, so he torches it to create air pollution. Small boy roasting on an open fire. Dr. Yano combines a sludge sample with water from the bay, and it creates tadpoles that assimilate with each other. The more sludge that gets dumped into the water, the bigger the Smog Monster can become. But fuck cool mythos, it's amoeba disco time! Ken's older brother drinks in despair while this painted woman dances on the table. How could you feel down with music like this? Damn! What is going on? You can't go from a muck spread to the cast of the Honeymooners. When we check back with Hidera, he crawls on land and zeroes an industrial pipe. That shit is torched like a freshman bong rip, but inhaling it makes him ready for action. Hidera dives on him as soon as it starts, and then they just lie on top of each other. Every fight they have is nonsensical.
So long, Bowser!
Ah! It looks like Chuck Berry's hotel room. How did this movie get more off the rails? Now everyone's a fish? What am I supposed to say about this? It's like he had nothing but Yingling and green eggs and ham. I'm trying to avoid the shit jokes, but they've just been coming non-stop. Let's move on to the next scene. I did not put that sound effect in. On my life, I did not put that sound effect in. They had to know what they were doing. Why even bother calling it Smog? Would Godzilla versus the fucking shit monster look bad on a poster? I don't even know if I can call the rest a fight. He uses the atomic breath like 4 times, and then Hidera backs away like a guilty dog, and then he launches into the sea. At least I can catch my breath. There's a lot more plot-related stuff now. There's more exposition on Hidera's anatomy, a little slideshow of the constellations, and even though the next scene isn't disturbing, it's probably the strangest moment bar none. Let's break this down. His POV whips around the corner. He spots a silhouette of Godzilla. On a sunny afternoon, the movie pauses for a frame or two, then snap zooms, holds on the zoom, keep in mind all audio is gone, and then the boy just goes, "Ah!" I feel like I'm watching Francis G. Johnson.
What up, G?
Mrs. Yano is teaching like a yoga class to a bunch of mental patients. It doesn't matter. It's just a set piece for the crap wing to fly in and knock them all out with its gas. Oh, come on! There's shit stains on her ass! How could I not make toilet jokes when I'm being gaslit? I'm being asslit! The only credible threat in this movie is Crohn's disease. Okay. Never mind. The King of the Monsters is back to take on Hidera's new form, but right hooks are no match for the Smog Monster, and his gas gets even stronger. Because it starts melting people! It just grabs you by the balls. There's nothing preparing you for how dark it is. And then we cut to a cartoon! Before Mr. DNA can pop his head in and talk about dinosaurs, the characters discover Hidera dies if he's dried out. There's a pretty cool discussion about his evolution, showing his beginnings as a tadpole-like creature, turning into a 4-legged being, and then finally the flying saucer form. The entirety of Tokyo has been evacuated, but the people just can't be brought down. So they start a fire, making more smog. When there's a smog monster on the loose. Of course it only powers that cocksucker up, but Godzilla's back to fight for the final time. He does the kaiju shuffle before it turns into a pyrotechnic show of lasers and turds. A lot of the ravers try to help and get annihilated in seconds. It's been a long journey to get here. But at last, there's no more drug sequences, no more rotting corpses, just the fight we all came to see. And immediately, Godzilla's knocked out and dropped in a ravine. Oh my god! I think we found the director. Then he gets back up. He says, "Up yours?" And there's like 5 minutes of the Defense Force flickering lights. It's a really slow build-up. But Godzilla powers up, blasts Hidera to high heaven, and the Smog Monster is gone for good. Kind of a basic ending for a Godzilla film, but probably one of the... Yeah, you knew it couldn't end there. I promised the funniest moment in Godzilla history. Better than the victory dance? Hell yeah. Better than the dropkick? Fuck yeah. But what could be better than that? I had like 5 punchlines ready for this moment. You know, like, Team Rocket blasting off again, or Godzilla Flight 370, the second worst thing to fly over Japan, you know, blah blah blah. But then I saw this. There's nothing that I can say that's funnier than this edit. He kills Hidera for a second time, the groovy Earth anthem plays us home, and Japan's biggest one-eyed monster walks off into the sunset.
Godzilla! Godzilla stay!
Jesus Harold Fabio Christ. There's nothing in the Godzilla franchise to compare this to. The closest movie I can think of is How Sue. It's not like they really toned it down afterwards. The next one's got evil alien cockroaches and a bird with a saw blade on its chest. But this kind of editing, the psychedelic stuff, the Smog Monster itself, what the fuck was happening in that writer's room? Considering there are 34 movies to choose from, you might wonder where I'd rank this. I'm not kidding when I say this. It's easily top 10. I mean, come on. There's like 3 movies in this franchise that are serious. Gojira, Return of Godzilla, and Shin Godzilla. But with everything else, you know what you're in for. You put on one of these to see bad dubbing, practical effects, and rubber suit monster fights. Godzilla vs. Hidera barely has any combat. And you don't even notice! You're so mesmerized you're always having fun. Believe it or not, plenty of Godzilla movies get boring. It's hard to make human characters good enough to fill the time without monsters. But this movie doesn't waste a second, whether it's genuinely cool lore about Hidera, animated PSAs, music numbers with dead fish, lasers, explosions, and Godzilla flying. Twice! There's never a dull moment in this movie. Last year saw the 50th anniversary, and Toho brought the Stink Man back for another fight. The way the fans reacted shows that people still like Hidera, and considering there's a new wave of Godzilla movies on the way, I'd love to see a reimagining with modern day effects. Keep the suits and miniatures, but use CG for all the trippy moments in Hidera's transformations. I want to see Godzilla meets Fear and Loathing. So that's Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster, but there is a lot more to see in the Godzilla franchise. He was only getting started after Hidera crumbled, and this bastard came out of retirement more times than Muhammad Ali. You want a summary of the lineage? Time me. The first wave of Godzilla movies is referred to as the Showa era, and after Godzilla vs. Hidera, they made 4 more sequels introducing original monsters, the most famous of which being Mechagodzilla, the Robot Godzilla, and calling the sequel Terror of Mechagodzilla. 15 movies in 21 years. That's a good place to stop, right? In literally 1984, the Heisei era began with the return of Godzilla. Not only a return to the character, but a return to the darker side of the franchise. And in the United States, the return of Raymond Burr! 30 years down the line, he reprised the character of Steve Martin, but at the time that passed since the first one, we got a real Steve Martin. What if he lived to see Godzilla 2000? Throw in his dad, his uncle, his brother from another mother, the whole Martin lineage in a control center looking ominous. Then after Return, there was Godzilla vs. Biollante, and Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, not to be mistaken with the first Godzilla movie with Ghidorah, and Godzilla vs. Mothra, which is different from Mothra vs. Godzilla, and Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, the third movie to feature Mechagodzilla, Space Godzilla, Mothra, Destoroyah, and we're still not done. Toho was finished after Destoroyah, but TriStar released a new American Godzilla without any Martins. The movie was so bad, Toho came back to make the Millennium Era. Another series of sequels. Godzilla 2000, Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, giant monsters all out attack, Mecha, goddammit, shit! Mechagodzilla again, Tokyo, save my soul! And then Final Wars, which has an MMA fighter, and motorcycle combat, and every monsters and destroy all monsters, plus the American Godzilla who gets blown to smithereens!
I won't hurt you.
You won't?
No.
Bye.